the person who was scheduled to run this session or talk in this session is not here. So I'm going to repeat what I did last year on social engineering. So if you have interest in social engineering, stick around. If you don't, just maybe something else is better for you. But this, hopefully we'll have fun here. This is a very light topic. There's not a lot of technical stuff here, but it's kind of funny stuff. So how many of you have heard of social engineering? Probably everyone, right? And how many of you have been the victim of social engineering? Anyone? You're smart. Because the way this begins is somebody sends you some kind of email and you click on it and you're zapped. Okay? So this is where the whole thing begins. Now that's not the only way for social engineering. There are other ways to do or perform social engineering. What we're going to look at is what exactly is social engineering, how it can be achieved, those who want to achieve, mostly the hackers, and what do you do to avoid it. There is a segment here for what can you do to train your people. This talk, when I gave it last time, it lasted for 75 minutes, so I'll be skipping some slides here because I don't have that kind of time. Okay? So let's start with some basic premise here. Oh, I'm going to do something here, just a second. So hopefully this works now. And now. Okay, so this is supposed to be funny. You're supposed to laugh at it. Okay, all right. But this is how scared we are of social engineering, and this is a day-to-day thing. It happens every day to somebody in the world, and it has become very prominent over time. So, but that's the reality. Okay. I did this one here. Instead of waiting for someone to steal my identity, I'm going to auction it on eBay and I'll make some money out of it. And normally there is somebody behind the computer, being imposter, trying to be genuine person, and they steal something from you, identity, your data, your files, your pictures, your images, so that they can then turn around and either make some money off it or maybe blackmail you for something else. So that's what people tend to do most of the time. Okay. It's just a basic concept. It's in the context of information security. It refers to psychological manipulation. Somebody is trying to psychologically manipulate you. Okay. But that's what we refer to most of the time. And the actions they perform is to get information from you or blackmail you or something like that. All right, let's close the door. Thank you. So now all of you know this is a surprise talk here. Okay. And because the person who was supposed to talk didn't show up, so I said I'll fill in the spot. Okay. So it's not what you expected, but something different. Right? Okay, so that's what social engineering by definition is. Somebody's trying to be an imposter, trying to steal your data, your identity, maybe even blackmail you. Okay. Now, this is a true story. I had a friend, and these two names are Indian. I was going to school, and it's a long time ago, like I'm talking about 1982. Okay, so you can see I'm pretty much bald at this point. Okay. I had a friend, he got engaged, his name was Suresh. He got engaged to a lady named Rekha. Okay, and then me and my other friend, we said, well, why don't we just see if we can hack his account. And this was a big tag system. And our first thought was that he would combine these two things, RE, and make a password like that, and we were 100% correct. We hacked him right away. Okay. So it's basically intuition, how people think about hacking others and how do you do social engineering. But and I haven't done that after that. It's not that easy anymore. Okay. This thing happened to me. I'm going to tell you a bunch of stories here. This thing happened to me. I was a prof up at OIT, and I managed Unix operating system. Again, we go back to like 86, 87. And one day, I was trying to add somebody to that account. And when I did that, this person was shoulder surfing me. Meaning that he was standing right behind me. Can you still hear me? Am I okay? Yeah. This person was standing behind me, looking over my shoulder, and as I typed the password, he put it in his memory. Next day I come to work, and I can't start the system. He went in there, he fiddled around with the system, and I couldn't even log in. I couldn't even log in as a regular user, as a root. I couldn't do anything. It was a hassle to go through the system. You got really kind of steps were easy, just to find the steps was a hassle. I had to call IBM and say, okay, how do I get the system going again? But people can shoulder surf you all the time. That's what shoulder surfing is. They stand behind you and they notice what password you're typing, and they memorize that, and they can hurt you. Okay? And that's what shoulder surfing is. Trying to get the information from you by being in the vicinity. Okay? Now let me read this. Okay, I have hacked into the NHS. Elise Barty had 2 sore throats in 1973. Where do we go with that kind of data? So not every kind of data is important for a hacker. They are not after any data. They would just hack just for the fun of it. They want something which needs to pay back, which is a payback for them. They don't just hack everything. Just to emphasize that in earlier days, people hacked for fun. People were, a lot of kids, and we call them web kiddies. They just went out there just to have fun. Okay, I'm going to put virus on somebody's system, I'm going to hack somebody, and that was fun for them. You know, another story in the same arena is same time. It was 1984, and you can tell I'm old. 1984, I was sitting in a computer room working on my program. These 2 kids, I was a kid too at that time. These 2 of my classmates come to the system, to the room, and they write a program, very simple program, a huge array, and they executed that. When the program got executed, the buffer, the stack filled, and system crashed. What were they doing? What would they get from that? There's no financial gain other than being famous. Hey, we brought the system down yesterday. So that was the game in the past, but today it has gone beyond that, much beyond that. Today it is, how do I make money out of it? There is some stat here. My colors are not right. Hopefully I can read things for you. So total cost in 2014 was $42.8 million. And this was 50% up from 2013. It has been growing. The expense just on social engineering has been growing for past 5 or so years. It has become so prominent, becoming so prominent that everybody at this point is concerned about it. And
what was the damage?
The damage mostly is, it's all kinds of damage right now. And there was, I'll give you an example, a big one. At the base level, at the ma and pa level, somebody will go in your system and lock up your files, photo files, okay? And then they will demand money. say, well, give me the money. So that kind of damage you see all the time. The bigger damages would be somebody, I think I have an example of that. Bigger damage would be you are a CEO, or let's say you're a financial officer of a company, and somebody sends you a fake mail. You being a financial officer, you may not pay a lot of attention to it, but your secretary next door might, we have to pay this money. And then they would just go ahead and forward that to whoever pays, and the money's gone. I have an example of that too. Okay. There are a lot of other types of attacks. Target got attacked, Home Depot got attacked, Sony Pictures. There's a bunch of things that are going on. They are not all necessarily social engineering attacks. I'm going to skip this one. So, weakest link in any social engineering, the weakest link is the user. If you, by mistake, hit on a link which somebody sends you, the imposter sends you, that's when you realize that you have been breached by someone. And it's a business issue. People don't pay attention to it. It's a business issue where you want to make sure that you have done what you can do to avoid social engineering. You need support from the management, and just lip service is not enough. Oh yeah, we will make sure the breach doesn't happen, or social engineering doesn't happen. You got to put some resources out there to make sure it really doesn't happen. And you have to provide all kinds of protection. We always have firewall. That's one protection. What is important is training people in the right way, so that they are aware of what can happen to them. There are some best practices here. You have to understand what threat you may be running into. Would somebody get with threat analysis? What possible threats you may be running into? I don't know how many of you have a security plan, but it's important to have a plan. What if we get breached? What if we have a social engineering attack? What should we do at that point? Have a team so that you can execute that plan. Somebody's thinking about it all the time, and put the defenses in place and provide proper incident response. You have to really be on top of it. Am I going backwards? It doesn't look like. Something doesn't look right. No, something does not go right. Did not go right. Something did not go right. Excuse me. Apparently I had the wrong file open and I didn't even realize. Okay, we'll pick up where I think we should pick up here. And let me see if I can get to this. Oh, sorry. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. Well, I thought I can start with this, but it's still running.
Largely because of what happened to Sony. Companies and privacy President Obama has compelled a number of people to crack down on hackers, and he plans to address this week. We've been hearing a lot about cybersecurity, largely because of what happened to Sony. Companies did a better job protecting their safety and privacy.
Any voice? Can you hear that?
It is my dog's name and the year I
Shall we play it again? Because you missed some fun part here.
And what's his name? Jameson. And where do you go to school? I went to school back here in Cyprus. I do. What school? Hippo area senior high school. When did you graduate? In 2009. It is my dog's name and the year I graduated. And then it's like a random. What kind of dog do you have? I have a 12 happy. And you have this cat for a while? Yeah. Jameson. Bhushan. Where do you go to school? What school? So I guess after junior high school. When did you graduate? In 2009.
I got something else going on.
It's two dads.
Okay, you have this cat for a while? Yeah. So you'll need, 6, what's her name?
Which one?
Yeah, so like a password, you're gonna be Jolie and then a number. Yeah. Like number 1.
Like my birthday,
Oh, what is your birthday?
June,
Your report?
95.
Great. So Jolie, 6, 12, 95. Got it.
So you need to give my password right now?
But we all wanna know what it is, so we can tell you if it's strong or not.
Oh my goodness. Let me think. Okay, one is Tel Aviv. Yeah. 468. And then Israel. It's only 3, but it's for me it's strong enough.
Ireland, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Challenge. 1, 2, 3.
Spelled G-E-M-M-A.
Well, most of them are in Italian.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so like
Like, what's a good Italian password?
my grandma's name,
What's your grandma's name?
Maria.
Maria. So Maria is your password?
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, the important thing is they learned their terrible lesson. Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel. Did you know there are things other than pornography on the internet? Watch them on the Jimmy Kimmel Live YouTube channel, which, much like your own body, I encourage you to explore.
No, that's not what I want. Let's close the whole thing here. Okay, so this is where we were, and I'm going to go to the slide where we were. Okay. We talked about those. I'm just going to fast forward it here a little bit. So you were asking about an example. There's a ubiquitous networks. It lost about $46 million with a social engineering attack. It costed them so much. They couldn't recover any of it. Everybody knows about Trojan horse, how the war was won between Greece and Troy. So I mean, that's the concept. There is a virus called Trojan horse, and that's where that comes from. Okay. Now there's a little story about this guy. He's Kevin Mitnick. He was a hacker from the very beginning. I mean, this is what he liked to do. And eventually the FBI got up to him, and the guy was so smart, he would know where exactly FBI is. And if he realized it's close to him, he would know that. He would buy some donuts, put them in the refrigerator, put a little sticker on it for FBI, and leave. The guy was so smart. He is one of the gurus in security industry right now. He's written a book or so, but that's who he was. I know a friend of mine. When he was in high school, he knew every teacher's password. This is how these intense people are. Okay. I'm not going to talk about these because it takes you actually. Let's talk about this slide here. We have a certain level of trust with each other. Most of us, we grow up here, we hear about Girl Scout, Boy Scout. There is certain level of trust as we grow up. Those become our core values, so we start trusting people. And that's what this says. One of the things which we tend to do is being helpful. Okay, this is one of the traits we acquire as we go along, and there are other ones too. We want to be loyal, we want to be trustworthy, we want to be loyal to somebody you're working for. So all these core values then play an important role as we grow up. Okay, and I just talked about there is teamwork, which is a big thing. So how do you know you can trust everybody in your team? You don't have a litmus test for that. You just do it because that's a belief. That's what we grew up with. With all that, with all those core values we have, we just want to exercise good judgment all the time. We need to have that. There at work, when I was working, people used to say, you trust but verify. So you can't just trust, you got to have some good judgment to make sure that people are not trying to take advantage of you. And if you look at modern social engineering techniques, you can go to a fake website which looks exactly like the real website, and you can be trapped. When you get these email, they look so real, and you can be trapped because of that. And we're going to talk briefly about what lures people to these things. I talked about shoulder surfing. Baiting. Have you been to a conference or a show where somebody will give you, hey, here's a free USB for you? Well, somebody was telling me that they were at a conference. This is a security conference, and a company was handing out the USB sticks, and all of them, one of the guys, pretty much all of them got USB sticks. Now, they didn't think about whether it's a good one or not. How do you know it's not going to attack you, breach your system? So those are the baiting type things. And the third one is, you give me something, I'll give you something. People will do that to you, and they can take advantage of the effect as well. Some more things. Tailgating happens all the time in physical environments. Let's not worry about dumpster dumping. I don't know, it happens, but no, I don't think it's that prevalent anymore. Okay. Social media. As an example of social media, there was somebody tried to send emails as Admiral James Stavard. This guy was a commander in Europe. Somebody decided to imposter him, and they got all the information about this person from his Facebook page. And after having that information, they could really fake everything they wanted to fake, and they attacked the system. And so you will hear things like somebody goes on vacation, they put it on Facebook, oh, we're going to European holidays for 2 weeks, and somebody else finds it out, and you have your house burglared.
What do you do to protect against this?
You just don't put it on. You don't say we are going to Europe, and you don't tell any date, or you don't say how long we are going for. So somebody will not know what your schedule is like. But those are the things. So what we're going to talk about a little bit more is, I don't know how much time do we have, because I know I wasted some time. How much time do we have left here?
We got a couple more, 10 more minutes.
Okay, so we're going to wrap it up here quickly. Okay, so phishing is where somebody wants to use sensitive information, credit card and things like that, to make use of that information for some financial benefits. Okay, and this is the trend, phishing trend over time. If you look at it, up until 2014-15, it wasn't much. There was much phishing going on. It has really picked up in the last couple of years. So, and that's why there is more awareness today than there was before. There is different types of phishings. The one is just regular phishing, where you're just trying to get some regular person, grandma, grandpa, to get some money from them. The other one type of phishing is spear phishing, where you send email to a bunch of people and you hope that somebody will take your bait. And then whaling is when you pick the CEO of a company or chief financial officer of a company, and then you attack those. So there are different types of phishings here. Individuals, international people, corporations. Again, the mechanics of it: somebody sends an email as an imposter. You click on a URL, you go to the website, and then they would get the information from you. They will steal your cookies. They will do anything they need to do to get the information, and then once they have that, they can then attack you. This is the one phishing email. Somebody imposted as Catherine Allen, who's a friend of mine, and I got that email. Now, unfortunately, I clicked on it, but nothing happened. See? I have gotten some myself. This is one from Bank of America. You can look at it and you can tell it's a fake, it's a phishing email, and I'll show you what is a phishing email like. Okay. Whaling attack focus on individuals who are highly valuable. These are C-level company people. Okay. So if you, and this is something you can take home. Whenever you get a phishing email, it looks legit, but it's not polished. But you will see in that email, you will have grammar mistakes. Salutation will be generic. Somebody signing it would be very generic. They wouldn't give you any address, and if you check the address, it wouldn't be correct. And I've seen that, I've done that myself. Check the address and it wasn't correct. So there are the different ways to identify a phishing email. There are times when attackers will go after big events taking place in the world, and they would try to use those as piece of information they send you about, and then you're likely to get phished with those attacks. I give some examples here. How to protect yourself. Same picture again. You have to educate people. This is the best way to protect yourself against phishing. You have to educate, you have to train people, and make sure that they understand what those attacks can be like. The rest of the slide set here is how do you train, how do you arrange for training. I'm going to go through that fast, and I'll leave a few minutes just in case you have questions, and I got to prepare for my next talk too. Okay? These are human traits. Okay? People are very open to different experiences. There are people there in your company. You'll find people that are open to different experiences, and those kind of people become easy targets. If you are bold, you want to be open to an experience, you can be an easy target. Some people who are extroverts, they can be an easy target. People who can be agree to things easily, they can be an easy target. So there are times when you have to identify who are the easy targets in my company, who I should be educating. Basic approach, you assess your situation. If you don't have a problem, don't worry about it. If you do have a problem, if there have been cases of social engineering, then you try to provide some training, and then once people are trained, then you run a test again to find out how effective your training was. Are the people following what you asked them to follow? And that would help you out. And you try to do all the things we just talked about, baiting, quid pro quo. There are times when people, and I don't know if it happened to you or not, people, you go to work and the people, they will put some USBs or something else when you enter, and it's one of the ways to find out how our people are in terms of education or social engineering. So there are different ways to achieve that. Simulating a phishing experiment, I said you have to support people, run an experiment, actual experiment, which is like send a phishing email, don't tell anybody, send a phishing email, and see what your how many people are hooked up to that email. That would give you some data of where you are, and then run through the training again. Tell them what not to do. Basically, tell them what not to do. That's what the training is all about. But it needs to be structured a little bit so that you know that training is effective. Okay? Here's an experiment sample. What you need to do to be able to run an experiment. Okay? Just you have to find somebody. You have to have some compelling reasons to be doing training. If you have had an incident in your company of phishing or social engineering, that gives the best example, or that gets people's attention. Hey, we have been hacked before, so let's see if we don't get hacked again. So those are the kind of things you need to be thinking about. I don't know, are we out of time, or we still have time, or how are we doing? Okay, you always try to find out some things. When you run an experiment, you find out what percentage of our people are victim of a social engineering attack. You can do that by time, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. And this is the details of if you were going to do a training, how would you do it? And basically what we're saying here is organize it. Don't just do it randomly. Organize it properly. What data you want to collect, what information is important for you, so that you can then measure how effective you were. That's the idea. Okay. And again, is this a problem or not, and how widespread the problem is. Training, tell people. It's just the different things, different metrics here. Education and training. Design the contents, make sure you have the proper training contents. And then most of the training would be in this area. You tell people, hey, if you see any of these, that means there is a phishing email, and you should be careful about that. That's all the training is all about. There's another one I got, I think, from Bank of America. Some examples of what can get you, or how you can identify a phishing email. There is a bunch of things here. I talked about salutation. Here's grammar. And then this address is not right. I verified it. It wasn't right. So these are the details you need to provide, or a trainer needs to provide to your people so that they are well aware of what can happen. Okay. So another one, same things. Well, you don't put, if you see something like that, it definitely is not the right type of email you should be opening. Look at all this, Oregon 977, USA. This just doesn't look right. You look at the whole thing, this doesn't look right. So this is how you just train your people. That's the basic thing. If phishing email has been identified, what do? You contact somebody, contact a person, and find out if the link has been followed or not. If nobody clicked on the link, then you're good. There is no harm done. But if there has been a phishing email in your company, then you first at least find out who got it and did they open the link or not. Okay. Post-training activities, monitor the phishing rate. Not just phishing rate, how many of them have been opened. Phishing rate could be very high, but nobody opens it, it's still safe. Okay. Look at other things. Is there tailgating happening in my company? Dumpster driving? Is there any baiting going on? Just different things you can practice with. These are human hardware bugs, I call them. If you have high trusting people, we have a problem. That doesn't mean you don't trust, but that means you educate people, trust and verify. Especially if you have data that needs to be secured properly. Okay. So these are the people. Some people have very simple password. You saw that in Jimmy Kimmel Live. The most used password, even today, is 123456. Even today. So people will believe in simplified password. So it's easy to remember. So they will just use a simple password, which shouldn't happen. Okay. Actually, the new rules are that your password, not the rules, but NIST is an organization. They say your password length should be at least 14 characters. And don't note it down. You're not supposed to note it down somewhere and put it on your desk or under the mouse pad. So,
can you give some recommendations on how to come up with a good password?
Well, so something which has worked for me all the time is I concatenate different things to make a password.
Something which you remember.
Well, yeah. So one of the things people do, they're using phrases nowadays. They will take a long phrase and make it a password. You remember. In my case, I do, and I haven't been hacked yet. What I do is I will take names of my relatives, and I'll take my addresses, I'll take my phone numbers, and I can come up with some scheme where I can tell, hey, this is what my password is going to be. But it's a combination of things. It's not my mom's name or my dad's name. That's what the worst part is. Some things which you really have to worry about, people don't care about, is apply patches. You have to keep your systems updated all the time. Okay. So what else do we have here? Best practices. Develop an enterprise security plan. You have to have one. Okay. Whether it's social engineering or high-level security aspects of your company, you have to have a plan. Put the right team in place to make sure that you are doing well. Put all the defenses. Provide training to people. Perform how much threat are you facing today. Have an analysis done. Okay. Continued training and awareness. You do a training once in 5 years doesn't help because things change every day. So you want to make sure that you train as often as you need to. If you had a big influx of new employees, you want to make sure you have enough training right away. Don't wait for that for too long. Okay. I guess the main message here is that security is a business issue. It's not something you can forget. If you want to run your business well, you want to make profit, you have to be secure today. Okay. I gotta have appropriate budget and and you gotta have protections. If you want to know more, here are some links, and I think that's all I had. Concluding slide. Okay. I wasn't supposed to talk, but I talked. I don't know if you got anything from it or not, but I appreciate you being here listening to me, and my next topic is more interesting. Okay, and I welcome you to join that topic. Okay? Thank you very much. Any questions? I'm around. Yeah, go ahead.
So I was just wondering, you mentioned the criteria that you can use to identify a phishing email. And it seems like a lot of those things should be pretty easy to fix if I were to let send you the email. Why do we see these problems?
Because people are not aware. People are not trained what to look for in email.
Well, but like the person writing the email, it seems like it would be easy to fix grammar mistakes, for example.
Well, so they come from all over. They don't just come from this country or in country where the English is the first language. So phishing can happen from North Korea or Russia. And you will expect that to happen more because they're not living here, so they're not in danger of being caught. So that's why you see all these cryptic grammars and all that. That's where they come from.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that will change the time.
It would not change with them, no.
More sophisticated.
Yeah, it just means that we need to be more aware of what patterns there are to detect what is a phishing email. Yeah. Shoulder surfing is really bad. I don't know. Yeah.
Some users have the ability to spoof the address for
That's right. Yeah. Spoofing is big too. Yeah.
What I always try to do is if they're asking for something, I
Yeah.
go out to Google and
Yeah.
look for it.
Yeah. Well, there is other ways too.
For a bank or something, is that the phone number that I get? Because normally I'm expecting maybe that'll change in the future too, that I do a Google search that these have been vetted.
Yeah.
But at some point,
Yeah. The irony is today that there are a lot of kits available for very, very cheap price. $50 you can buy a hacking kit. And people are doing that. It has become so cheap to hack something because of financial gains. Earlier on, these people Kevin Mitnick I talked about, these guys were spending time. They were trying to learn how to do things. Today you can buy a kit and you can just start hacking, which is a bigger problem.
So early on, when first asked about how to create secure passwords,
Yeah.
there is password manager tools like LastPass.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could provide two-factor authentication.
Right.
So
Right.
generate
Yeah.
secure passwords.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much again. Yeah.
Thanks.